Urban Nations Outreach Center in Jackson Heights in New York City. I'm Brian Harris. I'm the web and social media strategist at the Alabama Baptist Convention State Board of Missions. I got two guys in front of me. Let me flip the camera around. They're both working here at Urban Nations Outreach. We're going to let them talk about what they do here. So without further ado, Adam, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Adam Bishop, and that camera is really close to my face.
They can get closer, don't worry.
Thank you. I had to fix my hair. But I'm Adam Bishop. I'm a North American Mission Board church planter here in Jackson Heights, and we're getting an echo.
Yeah.
But been here since February, and previous to that, I was a missions minister at Heritage Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama, and my wife and I, we moved here back in February, and we've been here since then, specifically partnering with Urban Nations Outreach to plant a church among South Asians here. So we're really excited to be here.
All right, Larry, you can go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of tell us about how you ended up here.
Okay.
Ended up here, but how you got here.
All right. I'm Larry Holcomb, originally from Birmingham, Alabama, and I've been here, I think, about 22 or 23 years now. So, yeah, I came originally as a church planter also, just like my buddy here, and then just decided to stay for a long time.
All right. Well, let's kind of tell us about what is going on here in the center and how y'all are reaching people, and talk about what that picture is like trying to reach the nations here in New York City.
Well, here in Jackson Heights is it's the hub of South Asian activity here in, I guess, all of New York City. I mean, there's a large number of them that live here, and so our center here in Jackson Heights specifically reaches some of their physical needs, which would be conversational English. So, to help them function better here in the city, they need to know English. So we offer free English classes here. We also do citizenship classes. We work with children here. So in this really small space, we do a lot of stuff, lots of different ministry, to lots of different people. So that's our primary mode of meeting people, and we use that to build relationships with them. We do lots of relational evangelism, and as the nations come here to New York City, we're reaching them through these English classes and hopefully with the gospel soon.
All right, Larry.
Yes, we do a lot of great ministry here, and you know what, Brian? I think it'd be interesting if we looked at the map and I sort of show some people. We have some focus groups that we minister to here in New York City, and at the center here is our South Asian Center. So South Asia is this area. So most of our the people that we minister to and that we have Bible studies with are from Bangladesh and India and Pakistan and Tibet. And Tibet is not really a country anymore because China sort of took it over, but our Tibetans wanted to write it on there because they still feel like it's a country. So these are our main focus groups for this ministry center. In addition to that, right down the street there's a Hispanic neighborhood. So we have a lot of students now, and a new church plant that we're starting from people from Ecuador is the biggest group, and then a lot they come from Dominican Republic and Colombia, and of course some from Mexico, and then from all the countries all throughout Central and South America. And then our third emphasis group is West African, and most of our students and people that we work with are Muslims from Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, and Guinea, and some from other countries too. So we focus in on these different groups and have ministries and missionaries assigned specifically to them, and they do targeted evangelism, targeted Bible studies that are designed strictly for these people groups. It's a really great ministry, and the eventual goal is to start churches among them and then develop leaders, and then hopefully send these people that we disciple and train here back to their countries where there'll be really, really incredible missionaries there.
Well, one thing we also want to emphasize, if you have questions for these guys, either one of them, about reaching the nations here in New York City, definitely ask those questions. We'd love to answer those as best as we can. Also, if you don't mind sharing this broadcast that we're doing on your Android phone, you push up and it'll share, and on your iPhone it'll go left or right, and you can share that also with your friends too. All right, guys. Let's talk some more.
What do you want to know?
Well, that's one thing. We want to look for what the folks here, what ways they can connect with you guys.
Yeah.
Talk about one thing we mentioned earlier is about the facility you guys have for people to be able to stay at, and just talk about how people can bring teams here and how they can help out.
Yeah, well, we have the capability of hosting mission teams of several different ages. High school teams on up to senior adult teams that can partner with us to do the ESL here. To help us with our church plant. We have a great facility. Larry's been able to secure through Urban Nations Outreach a great missionary house. It's in the Rockaways, and it's really a wonderful place. It's a little bit of, it's a nice bus ride. It's about 45 minutes, an hour, and it's a lot of fun because not only do people get to minister here in Jackson Heights, but they can do some ministry on the bus. And then our mission house is in the Rockaways, which is another mission field in itself. But it's a great place for groups to come, to stay, and then minister here, and then have access to the city as well. So we're really excited about that.
Very good. Larry, anything you want to add into that too?
One thing I wanted to mention was I know we have a lot of pastors, and I know in Alabama in particular there's a big emphasis on church planting now. And that's really important for us. We don't feel like that it's ever enough just to minister to people, even just to witness to people, even just to have converts. But until they're congregationalized and trained and sent out, the job is not complete. So we're really big into church planting. And if there are churches out there who had that interest, they can come and help us do that among different people groups as well as among American people groups, and also even sign up to be an actual partner church that could be the sponsor for a church plant. And we have a lot of opportunities for that. So that's something to really keep in mind.
One thing we were talking with Larry a little while ago, we were talking about the need for Bibles. Let's go ahead and mention that. Talk about that need for having a Bible in their native tongue.
Yeah, you wouldn't think, I'm from Alabama, and I know there's at least 5 or 6 church Bibles in every pew, and people bring their own Bible, and it's just so common. But here, even though we're in America, we have shortages a lot. Always with Bibles, and the reason is because with all these different language groups that we work with, it's hard to keep in stock enough Bibles with all the tens of thousands of people that we come in contact with. So Bibles are a big need, not so much English Bibles, but specific languages that we deal with.
And that's one of the questions I just asked. What's the predominant language that you need Bibles in?
I would say probably Tibetan, right?
Yeah, Tibetan's one of those where there's not, it isn't completely translated too, so we have some online versions and some digital versions and stuff, but to have something I think physical is expensive and really hard to find. So
so maybe do some research or do some translating and get busy and get us some Tibetan Bibles. That'd be great. But we also Nepali language Bibles and Hindi Bibles and Bengali Bibles. Those would be probably our top language groups. And then with our West Africans, it's tricky because they all have different tribal languages. French is sort of like an all-encompassing language, but they don't usually read French. So usually we just stick with our South Asian as far as our biggest needs.
And one person said we definitely need more Bibles in Tibetan, Nepali, Hindi, and Bengali. That was your wife. She's
really?
In. Yeah.
There you go.
So you can tell her, hey. So.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just a few weeks ago we did meet a Tibetan woman that was interested, and when you have somebody interested in it and you don't really have something to give them that is complete, it kind of hurts your heart. So that's another big burden for us is to try to, especially the ones that want to know more about Jesus, want to know more about who he is, and to be able to read that in their heart language, I think would be just so important for them.
Well, when we started off this broadcast, I was looking out the window that you can see right there, and you can see the trains, and you might even be able to hear them while we're talking, and kind of talk to us about the neighborhood where we're located at, and just I mean, we've kind of mentioned a little bit more, some about that, but let's talk about it in general.
All right. This area is a very mixed neighborhood. There are very few Americans that live here. I guess out of like 100,000 people that live in the general area, they're the groups that we just mentioned, those different groups. But you can go from store to store to store to store for block after block after block, and every business and every store and every restaurant's from a different country. So you walk down the street, you may be the only American that you see anywhere around you. It's just like being in a foreign country. I mean, it really, really is. And so it's just a perfect place for us to be if we're going to reach people from all over the world. We literally can reach people from all over the world just in this one neighborhood. And they've just arrived here, a lot of them, so they still have all their family and contacts overseas. So if we can reach them here, then we can have a direct way to reach all of these countries all over the world. So it's a great place to be, great neighborhood.
And that's one thing y'all mentioned earlier too, is that someone who's maybe done international mission trips before in the past, you can come here, stay in the United States, and reach multiple people groups here at one time.
Yeah, it's really good. And one thing it's been hard for me to understand with when I was a kid, churches didn't really take a lot of mission trips, especially overseas. It just wasn't very common. And now it's a lot more common, and it's fabulous that churches are getting hands-on, directly involved. That's great. But it baffles me that, like, if God has sent literally hundreds of thousands of these people from these hard-to-reach countries, and He sent them here right at our doorstep, I just don't get it why more people don't say, wow, wonderful opportunity, let's go reach them here in our own country. But yet they still will go overseas to reach the very exact same people, and maybe not even be able to do a whole lot there because of language difficulties or whatever. But here, meanwhile, there's these hundreds of thousands of Muslims and Hindus and Buddhists all around us, and no one's reaching them. So I just want to put that challenge out, especially to our Alabama churches and pastors, it's not just me and Adam, we can't do it all by ourselves, that we really need other churches to see this as a responsibility as Baptists and Christians all over our country to reach the immigrants that are coming to our own country.
Well, there you go. I mean, with that challenge, I think one thing is go tell people how they can get in touch with you, how they can come here. What's the best way?
Yeah, we love it when people come visit us and come serve with us, or just inquire about what we're doing or how they could help. So probably the best way is just to go to our website, www.urbannations.org. And we've got phone number and email on there, and just send us a quick note or give us a quick call, and we can tell you more. But we love speaking at churches. Adam just got back from Alabama, speaking at 4 or 5 churches down there, and I go to Alabama at least 5 or 6 times a year. I've got family there, and just love to share about our ministry. And it's a lot easier and probably a lot less expensive than you think to come and spend time here ministering. And it's almost as if you took an international mission trip, and your people can be exposed to those international things right here in our own country. It's a great deal.
All right, Adam, tell us how people can get in contact with you.
Well, they can definitely connect with us through Larry and through the urbannations.org website, but you can also go to plantingnyc.com, and that's our family blog that we like to keep up. There's also a link there for our email newsletter to really get involved with our monthly newsletter to have more specifics on what we're doing as a family, as a church plant, and also what's happening here in the center. So.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us here. We're going to wrap it up from New York City. Thanks for joining us here on Periscope, and look forward to next time.